Hey guys, in this video we're going to talk about web accessibility, and I'm planning to show you a small presentation and show you why it's so important this topic, why we should care in the time when we start to create our content creation, our design and our development process actually. First of all, we start with a small brief explanation what exactly is the web accessibility and why we should care about this. And I found one video very helpful comparison for the web accessibility with the public library. And it's something like this. Imagine that in public library, it's a place where it's a public place full of books and the information have to be accessible for everyone. But imagine that you have a second floor full of books, but you don't have accessibility for some disability people or people with disabilities, and they cannot get in your second floor. So imagine that these people, they losing the right and they losing the opportunity to get the information from the second floor. So something very similar happening in our website. If you start to think about it, imagine that you or a person with some kind of disabilities land in your landing page, in your home page, and from there they try to navigate to get more information about your website. If your website is not web accessibility friendly, okay, means that it's going to be complicated for these people to navigate around your website. Okay, so from here I think and I hope that you understand why it's so important this topic for us, like as a developers. First thing that we're going to have a look here is that what kind of accessibility, what kind of disability they can be affected for the access of the website that we're creating or the website that we're working, okay? And that could be the auditory and cognitive as well, and then neurological, and then physical, speech and visual, okay? But as well, we can think about it that that's not always the case, and that's not always the case. That means that the people with some disabilities can have a problem navigate your website, because that could be as well people with without any disabilities or temporal disabilities, like people who have problem navigate with your website if they in a phone or as like a mobile phone device or some smartwatch, or they just in they're just in tablet, and your website is not designed for this kind of devices. So for these people it's going to be quite complicated to navigate in your website, so probably they just leave, okay? And then for older people who have just change abilities due to the fact that for the aging and everything like this, and then people with a temporary disability, like imagine that you have a broken arm or you just lost your glasses somewhere. So as well, we have to think about this kind of people, so they can navigate as well in some kind of different way in our website, okay? People with some situational limitations, such as like imagine that you're in the room that you have a lot of sunlight, which is quite annoying your eyes when you start to watch in the computer screen. So we have to think about the contrast as well of everything that's happening in your website as well. Or you in the place that is quite annoying, so it's a quite loud environment where everyone speak, and you probably need something like listening to website to read the part. Or if you have imagine that you have a video, probably it's a good idea to put the capture under the video, the subtitles under the video. So if you're in this kind of environment and you cannot listen the audio, so you can read what's happening in this video, okay? And as well, people who using a slow internet connection, okay? And you can imagine that if you make a heavy website, for these people it's going to be quite complicated to navigate in your website. So make sure that you're always concerned about this and think about it. It's not heavy your website. And as well, because some people pay more advantage, like another people, so think about this as well. Then we're going to talk about three categories here. There we have a look what we can change about some small things, like I said in the beginning of the video. And in the end of the video, like I said, I'm going to leave you a list with more sources that you can read and you can get more information. But here we just can get some basic information. Probably most of the things you already do it in your day-to-day job or in your website you have implemented. Okay, so if it's like this, just stay with me and wait for seconds and I pass in the other one, and I hope so that you found some useful information for you so that you can use it in your website and you can get better score in your website. Let's go to start with the content creation of your website and consider creating the content for web accessibility. We can start by the title of your website. Imagine that your title is not very describable. It's not much information in your title. It's going to be the first thing which screen reader is going to read. Okay, imagine that you use the screen reader of your operative system and you get in your website. It's going to give the user quite extent information if your title is good, and it's going to get the information from there, so the user have more information. But in case that you just put homepage, it's not quite describable, so it's not something that give us big information of what kind of company we talk about, what kind of website we talk about, for what exactly we are in this website, what's the main purpose of this website. And the title tag here is quite helpful for this. And as well, we not talk about here SEO, but it's going to help your SEO quite a lot. And as you can see in this picture here, that's giving more information that just for the first look of your website. Okay, then we're going to talk about how you structure the information that you show in your page. Okay, and the two cases here is that as you can see that you have the headline, okay, and then you have all the text just there without any separation, and for the user is getting a little bit complicated to read the content, and probably they get quite confused and tired. Okay, so if we can separate, and if we have the A tag and the H1 tag and the H2 tag, so while we're not using, and if you put some kind of separate between your paragraphs, that could be quite helpful as well, like the visual part, like when someone starts reading your content and not getting tired. Okay, and again, if you're using the tab navigation, it's going to get more information for the user. Okay, then we have to make sure that the link have quite meaningful information, or quite meaningful information, that they have a meaningful information, because for example, most of the time you can see I just click here and that's not describing much what we exactly going to see if we click here. But if you put more information like about our product and prices, you know that if you click here, you go and you see exactly what's happening there. Then there is in your image there is an attribute which it's for the alternative image text. And let me tell you something, most of the time when we prototyping something, we just don't put this text, okay, and then we continue, we progress, we publish the website, and we leave this text empty there. Okay, so make sure that that's not happening, and make sure that you use different kind of tools that they check your website for this kind of stuff. Okay, because again, we're not talking about SEO, but that's going to help your SEO. But we talk about now the accessibility, means that a person who doesn't see what's happening in the image, and it's going with the screen reader, in the first image here they just going to get the information that that's a dog. Okay, and they just don't know what's happening here, and they're thinking there is a dog and that's it. Okay, and from the second one, if you put a little bit more describable information there, more meaningful, so they can know that that's a happy dog, a happy person, or person with petting the happy dog. Okay, so they get more information and more like a visual stuff, like what's happening is like exactly in this image. But like I said, many times we forget about put the information in the alt tag. So make sure that you remember about this, or make sure that you use a tools that they can help you to remind you to put some meaningful text there. Then we want to provide a clean instruction. What's mean is that when you start typing your password, when you start creating, actually it's not typing your password, when you create your password, I'm not sure that you've been there before on a website like this, but I've been there in many of those, and it's very annoying when you don't have some information what's exactly happening with your password. Means that, well, they want that it's going to be more than a 6 charts. There's going to be with the capital letter and with number and whatever. Okay, if you don't have this information, you're just trying and trying and trying, and it's getting very annoying. Well, first of all, you're going to lose the user, okay, because he's just going to piss off of your website and just goes out. But second, it's going to be quite annoying and quite pain in the ass navigating your website. So make sure that you put clear information and explain the user what exactly he have to do. Okay, and sometimes the developers were thinking, yeah, but my user is not stupid. No one say that your user is stupid, but you just have to be we just have to think that not everyone thinks same like us, and not everyone do the same things, okay? But sometimes it's just easy if you put the clean information, and it's like everything in the front of the user, so he know what he have to do exactly, okay? He or she. Then keep the content clear and concise. Well, here it's like writing your content depend if which language you do. Well, actually it doesn't matter what kind of language you do it. Make sure that you don't using very complex words, okay? Because sometimes let's go to be honest, that the people who write the content for the text, they think that if we put more complex words, it's going to be like looking like more professional, right? And in the end of the story, who cares that it's looking more professional? We cares that it's giving us a value, and it's giving us a valuable information, okay? Well, if you can use a list format if it's appropriate as well. It's something that can help to show the information of the user more easy, okay? Then you can use images, illustrations, you can use videos, audios, okay, to describe your content and show some of the stuff of your user. So it's going to be more easy, like if they have to read a complicated lecture like you put in your website, okay? And let's be honest, there's many websites that they have quite complicated content, okay? Keep sense short, okay? Don't make it like large and large and large. Just separate and make sure that they are short. In the end of the video, I come to show you some tools that they can help you with this kind of stuff. And then we're going to talk about the design part of your website and how you can implement some web accessibility techniques there. The first thing here is obvious, I think so, that make sure that the contrast is quite good, okay? The contrast between the foreground and the background is important because obviously, as you can see in the first picture, the paragraph that we have is quite complicated to read it. And sometimes as a designer, we decide that it's look pretty, okay? But in the end, it's not so important that it's look pretty. It's important that it's useful, and it's important that more people can read the information there. I think the difference between the first and the second example here, which one is more pretty? Yeah, well, obviously you're going to say the second one because exaggerate a little bit the first one, okay? But the important thing again, to be useful, okay, and that you can read clearly and you can make the visual. It's not get your eyes tired, okay? Then as well, when you refer of some colors, make sure that you going to use another one referring with something else, not just colors. And here it's examples that they give you the idea what I mean by that is that we have red, green and yellow box, okay? And if I just put, well, choose one of the gifts and choose the red one, choose the yellow one or green one, if you have, well, if you're colorblind, you have a problem here, okay? So obviously you understand that that's not very comfortable. So what you can do as well is that you can put the A, B, C letter, and then the user can choose from there, okay? If they cannot recognize the color, well, you can choose just from the letter. So that's something quite helpful, and keep it in mind when you start to designing things like this. And then ensure that the visual part, the interactive elements are easy to identify, okay? Well, easy to find, right? What I mean by that is that, again, when you do the design and you decide that, well, if I put like a slightly gray, that's different than my main text, so that's look cool, and yeah, whatever, okay? I understand this, but I understand that we want our website looking cool, and that's okay, because we're designers and developers, okay? But I think about people who want to read your content, and it's more important for these people to get the information of your content and not so much how your content looks, okay? So you can see the example on the left and the example on the right, that we have quite clear separation between which elements here are interactive, means that they link. We know that we have to click, and as well when we hover in the top, we just don't get just one line in underline, we just get a color which separates which part of the text we can click and which one we cannot click, okay? I think that's quite easy and quite understandable, this one, and probably you're going to say, yeah, but duh. Anyway, sometimes we forget about this, and when we start to design things, we just forget about this kind of small stuff, okay? And then the navigation is quite important as well. Well, you know that the hamburger menu is quite famous, and it's getting famous and famous with all this year. But if you think about it, it's not very practical, okay? And yeah, I know that it's nice and it's leave your website clean, and trust me, I use it as well. But if you think about it, it's not the best way that you present the navigation of your website. The navigation of your website is something very, very important, and make sure as well the user can navigate with the tab key, and it's easy for everyone to navigate in your website. Doesn't matter, there's the visual impact, means that they see what's happening exactly when they in the website. They want to understand where they exactly, like the example down there, that you have the health, that's a section of the health, then there's a section of the recipe, there's a section of the vegan, there's a section of, well, not section, but then you get in the article strawberry cake. So you know that you're there here because there's like hierarchy that you can follow. Or for example, if it's an article and you start the article and you're going to talk about different topics, so in the beginning of the article you can put links of all these topics, so the user can jump from one to the other one easy. And if some of the topics they're not important for the user, he just click and go directly there, so he don't spend any time here, okay? And like the example in the right, that's quite valuable example to understand the visual part. For example, if something happening and it's a visual, the user is feeling always more comfortable, and he is showing you all the steps when you try to buy something, okay? So I'm feeling comfortable here because I know that now I'm in the payment process, okay? And I know that if I go next and I choose, well, I choose first of all which one is going to be my payment process, but if I go next, I know that I'm going to finish the process. If I go back, I go in the confirmation part, okay? So that's a navigation which can be quite helpful for any user and quite easy to understand, okay? Now, putting the label which are which describable for the input that you have there. For example, the first one is your email, and obviously you know that here you have to put your email. You don't need to put my email or some email. And again, probably you say, duh, I know this, but yeah, you know this, but not all of your users, they know that, okay? Then you have your website, then you have the content, okay? make sure that they include the clear accessible labels for the input, okay, and that's going to be as well in the time that you start using the tab navigation on the screen reader. Actually, it's going to be quite helpful as well, and you see this when you practice and when you're testing with the screen reader in your operative system. By the way, in Mac and Windows you have one and it's working quite good, I think so. And Windows I'm not very sure, and Mac the screen reader is working pretty good, and the web browsing and everything is working perfectly. Why I say this? Because it's a good idea if you're using the screen reader to test your website that is working correctly. In Linux I just installed some Chrome extension that they can help you with the screen reading part, and you can see that your website is working correctly. Okay, that's another part that is quite important, and sometimes some websites they just forget about this and they just want to be pretty. Okay, well, I know that the form in the left doesn't look very pretty, okay, but it's important here that you understand. If I put my email wrong, first of all, that I get everything red, and I know there's something wrong here, but don't forget about the color, because again, probably the user have some color blindness, okay? So we go with a small short message down there that something's wrong here, okay? So we have to consider there's something's wrong there. Then comments we put there as required. So again, it's give the information of the user there's something wrong, and we give the exact information what is wrong, okay? The submit button here, my mistake, because that was a GIF a format which was making very nice animation. When you click the submit button, was making nice green animation, and it show you that you submit your form. That's quite visual impact, and it show you that, well, something's happening here and your form is submit correctly, because it was not submit correctly probably in your submit button. First of all, that you have to display the error messages, but second, probably your submit button can do something visual as well, okay? And then a small chip down there which is telling you that the item was moved to trash, and that you can make the undo or you can close. That's quite valuable as well if you start think about it, because imagine that you delete the item and then was like, you don't want to delete this item. If I'm not giving you me as a developer, I'm not giving you the option to go back or just to undo this process, well, you have a problem. And again, a more problem that you have in my website, less that you're going to visit it again, okay? So I think that we all think in the same matter here, okay? And then create design for multiple viewport size, okay? It's something that I'm not going to talk about so much, because we all know the importance of the responsible design nowadays, okay? And we all know that it's very important that your website is looking good in many devices. And I know that it's not funny and it's not easy to design like this, okay? But we should do this, and you have to start from the content creation, from the design, and to the development, thinking about all these devices. And as you know, there is a mobile first style of designing and developing things, which is one of the approach that now everyone get. Why? Because, well, most of the people using a mobile device, but that's always depend of the content or which you want to show in your website, but always think that it's going to be visited in the mobile device. And what I say think about that is that small buttons and small links and text, like a font size of the text and stuff like this one, and images, if they looking fine for you when you're on the desktop, don't give for sure that they going to look like this in the mobile. So what you can do is you can testing and testing and testing, and you can see that they look nice as well in the mobile, is that they look nice in tablet or any kind of, smart TV, for example, any kind of device, okay? And, well, nice and functional, okay, means that if you put a small button in your desktop device and then you go in your mobile device, make sure that this button there is going to be big enough that with the finger you can cover this button. Okay, don't make the mistake like many websites do, that it's just a small tiny button and I have a problem clicking. I'm not having a big fingers, but it doesn't matter. Sometimes the user experience is not very useful, so make it big, make it big. Don't worry for the design so much here. Okay, then we're going to talk about the developing part of our website, and let's go to see what's important for the accessibility there. Let's go to start with the labels which have to be associated for the input. And again, when you go with the screen reader, you see why it's so important, this one. So if we have the input with the name first name, our label is going to be for the first name. Okay, and again, the screen reader is going to recognize this one, and it's like clean and look correct that you have the first name and the input is corresponding to the first name. That's something obvious. Okay, but again, don't think about because it's obvious, everyone have to know it. Okay, then we have the language of the page. Like, you know that in your HTML tag you put the language of your page, means that the main language that you're going to use in this page. And if this change, if for example you have a button that you change the languages, you should change, well, you obviously change the view for different language, but make sure that you put a correct language attribute in your HTML tag if you go in different kind of languages. And as well, you can put for the specific elements, you can put the language they want that these specific elements have. And as well, that's important for the screen reader, and it's important for it's important as well for the search optimization, if you think about it. But means that, for example, if you have a link which is going to change for Spanish, well, make sure that the language is it is Spanish there, because the text inside is going to be Spanish, because obviously the person who wants to go there is going to be a Spanish which can read this in Spanish. Okay, so just put the correct length tag attribute for your element. Okay, and then a markup which is going to describe and be like more semantical. Okay, what I mean by that is that you have now the HTML is giving you tag for many of the things and many of the cases that you're going to need it. Okay, so make sure that it's semantic and it's meaningful. Okay, it means that, for example, if I'm writing an article here, first it's going to be close in the article tag, then it's going to be my title, some of the h1, h2, h3, depend of my necessity. Okay, and then if I have some date under my title, is going to be in the time tag. Then the paragraph is going to describe my article, and then a site is going to have some small menu with some articles that they similar to the article that you just looking now. Okay, and you know, that's a meaningful structure, a meaningful HTML structure, which first of all is helping all these kind of tools that we talked about before. Okay, as well as helping again your SEO. Okay, and it's probably the correct way that you should write your HTML. Now, help user to avoid and correct mistakes. Okay, means that the example here, the example, it's very clear, and it's explain you exactly what I mean by that. Is that, for example, the label is for the font, then the input is to put the font, then we have the pattern here, and the pattern is going to give us the format of the number that we're going to input in this input. Okay, but then we have, if you see the area describe it, okay, font desk. Okay, means that we're going to describe the p tag under this. So when you go with the tab navigation, that's going to give you the information of the input. Okay, and it's going to give the information what's the example of the way that we should put the phone number. Okay, this word is always very complicated for me, sorry about that. Like I said, as you can see that the web accessibility and disability of some people can be anyone. For example, I have dyslexia. Okay, And then make sure that the structure of your code, okay, is referring how you want that your code is presenting by the accessibility tools and by, you know, how the robot's reading your code, because in the end a screen reader is just a robot which reading your HTML code. Okay, so for example, in the first example, as you can start to think, well, I want to design like this, so I put the image, then I put the title, and then I put the description, then I put the button. Okay, but actually when you think about it, that you should put first a title, because when you start reading with the screen reader, first of all I need to know what's the name of the tag, or what's the name of the tag, what's the name of the title, or what's the name of the title, or what's the name of the product that I'm buying. Okay, then I want to see the image with the corresponding alt tag. Don't forget to put the information, and if it's a product, make sure that the information is good and describable here. Okay, and then I put the description, and then I put the link which is going to add the item for my in my shopping cart. Okay, now don't worry about the structure, a visual structure, because you can change it with the CSS if you want. Okay, and a way that you understand that everything is correctly is that if you remove the CSS, okay, and you get image, H2, P, and A tag in this order. No, sorry, sorry. The second example, which is the H2, the image, the P, and the A tag. Okay, if you remove the CSS, probably you're going to see the order visually. Okay. Now, read content that adapt the user technology. Here I'm not again spending much time, because we talk about the media query, and we talk about the devices, the different kind of devices, that you can choose a different kind of style for these devices, and make sure that, well, your product, your website is looking good in all of these devices. I know that it's not easy, and there is a many tools that you can use nowadays. You can start from something very simple like the dev tools that you can use in your browser, and then continue with some testing tools that they can emulate the operative system and all this stuff. Okay, but make sure that your website is looking good in kind of different kind of devices. Media query is a part of this, how you write your code, so you can put a media queries that make sure that these kind of things happening for your website. Okay, ensure that all interactive elements are keyboard accessible, and that's what we talk about with the tab navigation. Tab navigation, then we can use the arrow down, arrow up. Then if you want to go back, you use a shift tab navigation, then we use a space to scroll. All this stuff, it's for people that they can navigate only with a keyboard, and they cannot use a mouse. Okay, so in this case, well, not only for these people, because I know many people that they just prefer to navigate with the keyboard. So make sure that you think about these people. Okay, and then imagine that you have a button which is a drop down button, which when you click it, you have a drop down menu, and you have items inside. So obviously you want to navigate with the tab. Okay, so it's going to play a little bit JavaScript there, but if you need it, you can write the JavaScript that make sure that when you, if key down function start from there, then you can compare the key stroke that you're using. Then if it's an enter, put something. So there's a logic that you can apply it, and you can do it by JavaScript, but you can make sure that you can navigate with the keys and only the keys. Okay. Now, like I said, some helpful resources. It's going to be a W3. That's the main way that you get the information for the accessibility, and I get most of these slides that you see it here. It's example from this site, okay, because it's one of the best one, and they make the standards actually. Then we have a site which is going to show you the colors. It's going to show you a contrast of the accessible contrast of colors. That's something as well quite important. Okay, then we have the a tool that is actually, it's a Chrome extension that's going to help when you write your content, and I show you now exactly these tools, just a brief example of these kind of tools. Okay, then you have a icon library, because with the icons sometimes it's quite easy to describe what you want to say. Okay, and then the last one, it's a tool that we can test our website to see that it's accessible, and it's friendly for people with some disabilities. Okay, actually, let's go to show you these pages. Like I said, the first one is going to be a W3 org. Okay, and here you can get all the information that you probably need to know about the web accessibility. Again, it's quite extensive and it's quite big issue, and it's something that you should read a little bit more deep from this presentation, because like I said, there is a lot of legal parts there, and you should be aware about these legal parts, because like I said, some places your website have to be accessible, and if your website is not, you can have some problems. So you make sure that you can have a look all the documentation here, and I know there's quite a lot, but as well as quite useful information. As you can see that they use all these tricks for easy navigation and finding not many colors actually. If you can look the design, that's just simple, but because this one is just to give you information. Okay, that's the main purpose of this kind of pages. And here is quite extensive information, which it's explain you the difference between A and AA rank, and then AA 3A's rank, that what's different between these kind of categories and in which of the categories your content is going. But again, you can read about all this stuff here in this website. It's actually all the information, it's here. Okay, then you have the tool with which you can take, for example, a background color. In this case, it's going to be a white background color, and then you can choose the font size from here. A font family, you can choose it from here. Okay, once when you choose the font family, and then size, and then the width, and then again the standard, as you can see here, what we talk about the documentation. Okay, it's going to show you, for example, if we want to be more like with a more big standard, and it's going to generate for you a color palette that you can use it. Okay, as you can see that if I choose the color here, it's going to tell me that the ratio here, it's a 4.65. okay, and that's a gold ratio, which is a AA 4.5. okay, and from here you can actually you can copy. When you click, you copy directly this color, and you can start using this color. Okay, the other tool that I want to show you, that's Grammarly, and that's, like I said, there's a Chrome extension, and this Chrome extension is going to simplify, like they say here, the reading of your content. So it's going to find the words that is not so complicated and they are more easy. As you can see in the example here, it's quite helpful actually, this tool, when you start to read some content. Okay, here we have the library that you can find icons, and the icons, they can be quite describeful for the content that you want to present. Okay, and here's the tool that I tell you that you can use and find how your website's going with web accessibility. And in the end, I just leave a small example of the website with very good accessibility implement in this website. For example, if I press if I recharge this website and I start navigate with the tab, for example, let's go to see that it's, I think that's working quite correctly. I'm pretty sure that this website is going to be quite slim as well, because again, make sure that your website is slim, and people with slow connection, they don't have a problem to work with your website. So when we start with the tab, if I press the tab, it's gone the first visual part in your website obviously is going to be the legal part, the legal explanation of you know, the cookies and all this stuff, the cookie policy and all this stuff. So if we remove it, then it's going to say skip to content, so we go directly off the content. Or if we don't want to do this, we continue with the tab and we navigate in, we use the navigation, the top navigation here. So as you can see that now we're in the play button, and the hierarchy here is very important because we're not jumping from the play button to the menu, then go back to the play button, then go down to the items. So it's quite important here, the hierarchy. Something that I forget to tell you, and as you can see in this button, that we have the on focus, that we have a outline here. And actually there is many times that developers remove this outline from there, okay, but with the CSS, but don't do it, okay, don't do it, because that's something quite important for the accessibility part of your website. So it doesn't matter, it doesn't look for you very nice in different kind of operative system, because that's, I think, that is coming from the operative system. Don't just remove it, okay. And as you can see, I can navigate with the tab easily for the website, okay. So guys, I hope so that the information that I provide for you here was something important and something helpful for you, because like I said, most of these things I'm sure, because all of my audience here, I know that you're smart people, so I'm sure that you know this kind of stuff, but it's good to remind you, and it's good to make sure that next time when you start building a website, you consider most of these techniques. Thanks a lot guys for watching the video. If you like the video, make sure that you share the video, and if you're not subscribed yet, so please do it, so like this I can continue doing content for all of you. And see you in the next video. Bye.